Hey everybody, hello. This is my first YouTube live stream, so please let me know if you can hear me or if I need to speak up, because I can, but if I don't have to, I'm not gonna, all right? So let me know in the comment section. Let's see. I'm also going to look on my laptop just to make sure. Okay, I think I'm speaking loud enough. All right, so before we get started, I just want to make sure, can you hear me? Can you see me clearly? Type it in the chat, please. Let's see. Okay, everybody, we are live. My name is Shekinah, but you can call me Nina. And oh, thank you. You can see me clearly. And I operate Get You Some Free. Get You Some Free is a daily life affirmation that shows you how to get you some free every day, in every way, by any means necessary. What does that mean, Nina? It means that when you're walking around creating a lot of, see, I don't know if you have children around, but this is grown folks summer school, so I'm going to be the grown folks teacher. When you're walking around creating fuck shit, and you don't know why, when you remember to get you some free and you can pull yourself back into center, then you realize, oh, none of that was mine anyway. Let me go ahead and continue to create the life that I want, rather than focusing on the things that I don't and creating more fuck shit. So I'm gonna make sure my phone is on Do Not Disturb, because you all really, really love to text me and message me when I'm on Facebook Live. So I want to make sure that I can get through this class in a timely manner. So again, thank you for joining me. You can call me Nina, and I'm going to get started. So for most of you, you already know what chakras are, and some people pronounce them chakras. I'm going to say chakras because I'm from the Midwest. And for those of you who aren't, I'm going to give you a really truncated layman's term definition of what chakras are, so that you're familiar with what I'm going to be speaking about. And then I'm going to get right to it, okay? So I pulled up a layman's term definition of chakras from the Chakra Center online. And all of the links that I'm going to share with you will be on the Get You Some Free Facebook page. You can check there for the links so that you can find out more, okay? So according to the Chakra Center, the Sanskrit word chakra literally translates to wheel of light, or wheel or disc. In yoga, it's meditation, there's Ayurveda. This term refers to wheels of energy throughout the body. There are 7 main chakras, and we're just going to be talking about the main chakras right now. We'll do the advanced stuff later. These chakras align with the spine, so starting from the base of the spine, it's all about that base, and go all the way up to the crown. This lovely crown right here. So you can imagine swirling wheels of light, or swirling wheels of energy, okay? And this is where matter and consciousness meets, meaning this is where as above and so below come together, okay? The invisible energy is called prana, the vital life force which keeps us vibrant, healthy, and alive. So when someone passes away or they expires, they no longer have that breath of life, or that prana. Those energy wheels and everything that connected us to above has now ceased. And that person's energy has transitioned. It is no longer matter, because this body is just a shell. It's just a tool for us to complete the work through consciousness, okay? So the importance of the main chakras in the body, according to the Chakra Center, is that these swirling wheels of energy correspond to massive nerve centers in the body. Each of the 7 main chakras contain bundles of nerves and major organs, as well as our psychological, emotional, and spiritual states of being. Since everything is moving, everything is always vibrating. Okay, since everything is always moving, it is essential that our 7 main chakras stay open, aligned, and fluid. We have to be adaptable because life is always changing. The universe is always growing, expanding, and revolving, okay? If there's a blockage, then the energy cannot flow. So think of it as something as simple as your bathtub drain. If you allow too much hair to go into the drain, what's going to happen? Okay? The water's going to back up, it's going to be stagnant, and then eventually bacteria and mold and things like that will grow. So too is it with our bodies and the chakras. Okay? So the bathtub is simple, it's an easy fix. But when we're talking about energy, because sometimes we don't see things, we don't believe that it exists. So since seeing is believing on this plane, sometimes we can miss out on making sure that we're aligned energetically because it's not directly in front of us. Or so we think. We're going to address that, okay? So keeping a chakra open is a bit more of a challenge, but not so difficult when you have awareness. And since the mind, body, and soul and spirit are intimately connected, awareness of an imbalance in one or more area can help to bring it back into balance. All you need to do is become aware of it. Good evening. Hi. So to learn more, you can visit getyouSomeFree.life, or you can visit my page and the links will be there, okay? So that's just an introduction, and there are some books. I didn't bring all of my books. I have a collection of chakra books, but I did bring a few, and the links, again, are posted on my page, all right? Hi, Cynthia. Hi, everyone. Hi, Tasha. That's my cosmic niece right there. So the subtle body, as you can see, I have almost all of the pages highlighted. This is a really good book, but if you want to start out, you can start out with something small, and it's almost pocket size. You can pop it in your purse or your bag or your backpack or your laptop bag and take this with you. And it has really nice pictures that show you how to focus and align your chakras, okay? All right, so with that being said, we're going to focus on not getting our physical summer bodies ready, okay? Because that's really nice. But what about our spiritual bodies? Right now, everybody's talking about mental health, and that's great. We are so happy that everyone is talking about mental health because it is so important and it has been ignored for far too long. However, there's a third part, okay? And that's our spirit self. And the spirit self, when it becomes depressed, suppressed, obsessed, malnourished, or it just completely ignored, then that's when we find ourselves in the dark night of the soul that we seem to cannot get out of, all right? So what I want to address first and foremost is that out of all of the chakras, a lot of people focus on the crown. They want to be connected. They want to focus on their third eye. Their intuition is on fleek. But they forget that their throat chakra can be off balance, or if their heart chakra isn't connecting the as above to the soul below, things are out of alignment. And you'll continue to ask yourself, why? We ask ourselves this all the time. Why me? Why does this happen? Every time I try to do so-and-so, it doesn't happen. Hey, Charlotte, I love you, sis. So we're going to focus on the root chakra, because the root is the base. The root is where everything begins. The root is your foundation. And for years, we have heard a building is only as strong as its foundation. A relationship is only as strong as its foundation. But the problem is, especially for most of us women, we've built houses on foundations built by other people, okay? And so we think we're operating on our own terms, but our foundation has been built by someone else, okay? So I'm gonna be looking at my notes, I just want you to know. So before we really get to it, I want to start with an exercise that I came across on Facebook by a lovely, lovely being named Jerome Braggs. Hi, Solar Lioness, how are you? And so he put up this amazing post, which it changed my entire day. And so I thought I would share this with you because it's really important when we're talking about the root chakra to get into the deeper levels of the root chakra. A lot of people, just say, well, you just need to feel safe. But what does that mean? So we're going to start with his exercise. I have not asked permission to use it. I don't think he'd mind. And you can also check him out in the link section on my Get You Some Free Facebook page. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to go into your heart space. And for some of you, you may not have been there in a while. You might not be able to find it right away, but it's there, I promise. Become still. Close your eyes. And in your mind's eye, go and enter your heart space. Okay? So while you're in your heart space, I want you to take one deep breath with me. We're going to do 3 deep breaths, but first we're going to start with 1 deep breath, okay? So I want you to follow my lead, and you'll hear me. On the count of 3, we're going to take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to do that again. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Okay? And I want you to repeat after me. Keep your eyes closed. Repeat after me. I love you. You are safe with me. I love you. You are safe with me. I love me. I am safe with me. We're going to inhale and exhale. And I'm going to take a minute to ask you all, how do you feel? How did you feel when you first started this broadcast, and how do you feel now? I hope that some of you all are smiling. For some of you all, this is probably the first time in the day that you sat down and paid attention to your breath. KN Dozier, I am all stuffy and stopped up. Lord, oh, that. So breathe in with your mouth, breathe in with your soul. I know that feeling, especially when I have dairy. Okay, so now that we've got everybody's attention, let's get to it. So I have my notes here so that I stay focused and I get you out of class on time, okay? Cynthia, yes, I hope that you feel better. You should feel better. And this is something that you can do any time. That's the amazing thing about it. And it's free. Y'all know I love me some free. I love it so much I got it tattooed on my body. Free. Okay. So I'm going to begin with one of my favorite quotes. And some of you all already know this, but it's so important. One of my favorite quotes that helped change my life is this. And it's a quote from Miles Monroe. If you don't understand the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable. I'm going to say that again. If you don't understand the purpose of a thing, we're going to say a noun, person, place, or thing, abuse is inevitable. And so Nina's take on that is, if you do not understand the purpose of your life, you will eventually misuse, mistreat, and abuse yourself. And that's what many of us do. We begin to misuse ourselves and allow other people to misuse us, which opens the gateway for other people to mistreat us, and then abuse happens. And when I say understand, what I mean by that is to know that you know that you know from the inside. You don't just get it. You know how some people can get it, but they really don't get it. Understanding is I know. Yes, I have and I do. She knows exactly. So you don't want to be underpaid. You don't want to undersleep. You don't want to undereat. And you don't want to be undermade love to. You want all of this inner stuff. You want to feel it on the inside. That's the reason why we do anything that we do, is for the ultimate pleasure, which is called orgasmic exaltation. That's why we're here. But when your foundation has cracks in it, hasn't been set right, it's really hard to enjoy that. The moments become fleeting. So let's talk about this foundation, okay? So let's define purpose and abuse. Okay, so purpose. I'm going to trip you all out, because the truth is, because everybody's like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? If you have gone to my website at any time, I'm called the Purpose Pastor for a reason. You can read about purpose all over my website. That is my life's purpose, is to help illuminate your purpose. And so purpose is something that we all have. And when you feel like you no longer have a purpose, a lot of times people decide they want to leave the planet. So in order to not abuse your purpose, let me tell you what your purpose is. It's the same purpose as everyone's. We all have one purpose, okay? And so, okay, Nina, what is that purpose? So everybody's purpose is to know who they are. Who are you? Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're going to? Do you know? Everyone's purpose, everyone's being, who we really are, is the universe embodied. Do you know what you are? Not black, tall, white, Mexican, an angel on earth, I was a dog in another life, I'm an engineer, none of that. What you are is unconditional love expressed. And we're all here to serve. How do you serve? In love, for love, by love, with love. Your whole being is love. Uh-oh, my sound went out. Okay, let me check. YouTube. The link is on my page. Can you all hear me now? I think so. Okay. You can hear me now? Awesome. Okay, good. All right. So we all have this amazing purpose, which literally is to take all of the love that the universe has embodied and placed in a body and express it. But we all get to express it in a very unique way. Okay? So what's your unique way? That's what we're here to find out. All right? You can go to my website and book a reading. I do soul purpose readings, and we can find out your purpose through your North Node, your natal chart, several other factors. But at the end of the day, outside of your ego and your personality, you have to know that beyond anger, beyond disappointment, beyond betrayal, beyond hurt, beyond suffering, that you are here to express love in the way that you can do it best. The way you do it best is by going back into your heart space and asking yourself, what makes me so fucking happy? I feel like I'm going to die if I don't do it. What am I so good at that even in the middle of it, in my head, I'm going, woo, that girl good. I did that. What is it that you love to do? For you, you may be a great computer analyst. For somebody else, they may be a great veterinarian, okay? But for most of us, because we're operating off of someone else's foundation, we're doing what we were told to do. When I was a little girl, people would ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you could only choose one thing. You were supposed to work for 25 years and then retire and get a gold watch. But I was the little girl that was like, I just want to help people. My mom would ask me all the time, what do you want to do? Help people? How, Nene? How do you want to help people? By helping people. And everyone who told me that I couldn't help people, nanner, nanner, boo, boo, stick your head in doo doo. That's exactly what I do. I help people. So, if anybody tells you that you cannot do what makes you happy, there are people that make videos about poop and that makes them happy and people soak it up, okay? You get to do what you want to do, what makes you happy. Because if it makes you happy, you're not out there causing fuck shit for anybody else. And the more happy people we have on the planet, the more healthy the planet is, okay? So we're not here to F up other people's happiness. All right. So let's talk about abuse. When you don't know who you are, what you are, and how you serve, you're doing this all the time. Your vibrations are always screaming out, help. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to run my life. I'm running off of someone else's tenets. I'm running off of what somebody else told me to do. I'm running off of what society keeps pushing me into. And so you draw people who don't know how to treat you, and they don't know how to take full advantage of your gifts in a positive manner. So they misuse, mistreat, and abuse you. And you think it's them. But no, honey, it's you. Okay? All right, so let's talk about why you can create shit, why your ungrounded root chakra is always in crisis mode. Now, the funny thing about crisis mode is that we very rarely think we're constantly in crisis mode. We think that crisis mode means that there has to be this uproar. Oh my God, it's chaos everywhere. What's happening? Who, what, where, when, how? No, a lot of times we've been operating out of crisis mode for so long. Are Nina's notes backwards to anyone else? Actually, those notes are for me, so I can stay focused. You're going to get everything that I have on this board. So, a lot of times when you operate from crisis mode all the time, it becomes white noise. It starts to settle in the background. And you'll find yourself saying things like, man, every time I try to, ... It's always something, ... Ooh, when it rains, it pours. I think it's supposed to pour water when it rains. That's how it works. Or I can never do so-and-so. They are always doing something. It's always something outside of yourself that you're blaming on one hand. And on the other extreme opposite, the polar opposite is, I can never do anything right. Why can't I get my shit together? So let's pause and look at that word, together. How can I get myself together? Why is everything always jacked up? Well, remember, you came from two people. And if this person was operating out of crisis mode, and this person was operating out of crisis mode because they drew one another, then that means that when they create something, or actually when they reproduce something, because we can only reproduce what we are. I have never had a baby zebra. I can't have one. I can't reproduce one. That's not what my DNA makeup is. I've made human babies. I've made 3 versions of myself and their father put together. That's what I've reproduced. Okay? When we reproduce art, it comes from within. It is a part of us. You cannot separate it. So when we talk about getting our shit together, let's go all the way back to the beginning. This is the time when we get to examine where our foundation was poured. Okay? So I'm gonna go and talk about my busted ass root chakra story. It is story time. But before story time, I want to take 2 minutes to make sure that you all don't have any questions thus far before I move forward, because once I get going, I get going. All right? So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat box. And I also want to let you know that this donations are accepted. They are not necessary, but you can look on our page. You can look at Tasha Ariel's page or my page. Tasha, can you post the links, please, in the chat? If you choose to donate something. And the work that Get You Some Free does, it's not just for me and my profit, but I also take donations to local shelters and buy maxi pads and tampons for our sisters who are temporarily homeless, okay? So I just want to let you know that. So let's see. I don't see any questions thus far. Let me check my laptop because I can't see all of the questions on my phone. Okay, nothing yet. So let's get to story time. Okay, so one day I was in the kitchen and I was kind of introspective. I was trying to figure out why this always happened to me. And I heard, call your mother. I don't want to call my mother. I don't want to talk to her right now. Why is this always happening to me? I'm having a pity party. Why do I need to call my mom? Call your mother and ask her how she felt when she found out she was pregnant with you. I already know. She said she was happy, blah, blah, blah. And then it hit me. Oh, I was a kid. So of course she's just going to tell me she was happy. Let me call my mom. She's not going to answer. I'll leave a message and I'll talk to her later. Pick up the phone. My mother, Mama, you answered right away, remember? I couldn't believe it. I'd never get her right away. So I knew the call was meant. And I immediately launched into the question. I said, Mama, how did you feel about me when you found out you were pregnant with me? Because I'm the oldest daughter. I'm the oldest child from my mom. And she said, without hesitation, unworthy. And when she said unworthy, there was this heavy sigh behind it. And even though the sigh was heavy, it also sounded like a great relief for her to be able to get that off of her chest. And I didn't realize that I'd had this tension that needed to be released. And we both were teary-eyed. We both started to talk about the circumstances that she was in when she found out she was pregnant with me. She was in a relationship with my father, and my father had one child who was special needs, my big brother. Hey, Duna. He's blind. He was born blind, epilepsy, cerebral palsy, scoliosis, but his spirit is amazing. It's absolutely wonderful. But he had these physical difficulties. And here's my mom operating out of crisis mode. She's 20, 21 years old, trying to figure out what she's going to do with her life. She comes from a big family. And now it's time for her to assert her individuality. How the heck do I do that? Here's my father. He's one of 19 children. So he wasn't sitting on his mama's lap for a very long time. So I want to mention masculine and feminine energy. It has nothing to do with male or female, woman or man. It's just a type of energy, a giving and a receiving, okay? And for most women, we're receivers, and for most men, they're givers. But there are some men who are receivers and some women who are givers. It has nothing to do with your sex. When things are out of balance, with my mom was more masculine, and my father was more feminine. And when I say feminine, again, he's a man. He was looking to receive the nurturing that he did not get from his mother. And my mother was looking to give nurturing. How are you loved in a big family, especially by being a girl? You give. You take care of the babies. You help the adults when they're sick. You take care of your elderly family members. And for my father, who's a Libra and ever so charming and handsome, he found a way to get that love, to get what he needed from my mother being able to nurture him. And from him, she was able to be needed and loved. And so the two of them come together and they reproduce me. So they're both in crisis mode trying to figure out how to get what they need from somebody else before they go within so that they could come together as whole people and reproduce a whole person in a holistic situation. But that's not where they were. And that's why I chose them to be my parents, because I needed lessons on how to get back to wholeness. And me getting back to wholeness also helps heal my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and on down the line. Remember, it's a give and receive. So they gave me life. I also get to give them something. And not just walking across the stage with my degree saying, Mama and Dad, I did it, but also making sure that all of me, physically, mentally, and spiritually, is accomplished and taken care of. So my parents came together, they reproduced me, and here comes little Nene. That's my childhood nickname. And my mother is a Virgo, my grandmother is a Virgo, my great-grandmother is a Virgo. And here I come, this little Pisces, the opposite of Virgo, going, hey guys, what the heck is this? Can we try it a different way? Can we move, and I'm an Aquarius rising, so can we move outside of tradition? Because that isn't working. Some of them we can keep, but we need to rework some other things. So here I am, little crisis baby, and a lot of us are crisis babies, and a lot of us have created crisis babies. It's not too late. So that was my foundation. So I was always looking to give. Let me give you, can I give you love? I remember there was a guy that I thought we were friends. And one day he said, you like to try to buy my friendship. I didn't understand it because I was like 14 and didn't have any money. So what are you talking about? I can't buy a pack of gum right now. And he said, no, you overlove. I didn't know you could overlove. Erykah Badu told us all that you can be a recovering undercover overlover. And men and women do it. It has nothing to do with your gender. It has everything to do with energy. We seek wholeness in everything. If you look around, everybody's looking for something. And even when they decide, I just want to be by myself. What's behind that? Because I want to work on myself. Because you want to bring yourself back into wholeness. So little crisis baby Nina is running around, and I was in crisis after crisis. I was molested, wanted to commit suicide when I was 9, went into a mental institution when I was 14 because my mother thought because I was wearing all black and was listening to Sade and a little bit of alternative rock and watching Star Trek and not reading romance novels that maybe I needed a little help. And it was a fun adventure. I'll tell you about that later. So here I am walking around creating crisis after crisis, and who do I meet? I meet another person in crisis who became my high school sweetheart, my first husband, and the father of my children. We're both in crisis mode because that's all that we could reproduce. Okay? You may look at some couples and think they have a fantabulous marriage, and then you find out that there was all kinds of abuse going on. Why is that? Because they were taught, let's ignore the crisis by being upright citizens. Let's ignore the crisis by pretending that everything is well. And that's not always the case. There are other people, I'll use myself again as an example. In high school, my boyfriend and I were known for arguing. That's what we both grew up in. So that's what we were going to reproduce. We weren't going to sit together and say, hey, let's make peace pies. It wasn't going to happen because that was a part of our foundation. And your foundation is everything. So I want you to go back and think about when your parents came together. And even if you were adopted, you ended up in foster care, or for whatever reason, your grandparents, aunts, uncles raised you, think about their foundation, because we often get stuck in blaming our parents and the people that raised us for not raising us well because they didn't have their shit together. But again, you cannot expect someone to reproduce what's not in them. This is why you can forgive, because they really didn't fucking know. All right? Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm sticking to my notes. Okay, so I grew up, I met a guy in crisis mode. We had 3 crisis babies who have since healed. I meet this guy, he doesn't have a kid, but I have his first child. And he always wanted a daughter. He kept talking about a daughter. He wanted a daughter first. I just want a daughter. We didn't have a daughter, we had 3 boys. The entire marriage was completely abusive on both ends. I can recognize where I was abusive by withholding, and I was in such a deep depression that I couldn't focus on our marriage. I was just trying to survive mentally. And on his side, things got out of hand a different way. That marriage ended. And you know what we do when we break up? I will never do that again. That'll never happen to me again. I'll see that mess coming. And our energies are going, so yeah, you haven't changed though. And you haven't taken the time to recognize why and gone down to the base, gone down to the root of things, to eradicate the things that are not serving, to replant yourself into fertile ground so that then you can operate from a place of balance and bloom instead of growing all lopsided. So the second guy I meet, we're both in crisis mode. But the first few months, you don't show the crisis because the crisis is white noise. You ignore it. And you hear little things from the back going, did you hear what she said? Did you hear what he said? Did you see that? And you're like, shh, don't mess this up for me. Listen, healing. Listen, intuition. Shit. I just want to have fun right now. This is different. I can feel it. So you meet the next person. I met the next person. Total crisis mode. However, my consciousness was raised to the point where I knew that I had to do something about it and not stay as long. For me, that was, let's not get married. Let's just be together. Y'all, let me tell you something, especially those of you who are engaged right now. Love to walk around, that's my fiance. But when you get home, you're like, oh shit, I'll be glad when he take his ass to work. That's the marriage. It doesn't matter if you guys have been together just a year or 2 years. Getting married is not going to change the relationship for the better. You are who you are. If you've been living with somebody for a year, that's the marriage. If you don't like it, then you don't like your marriage, and you're not going to like your future marriage when you do get married. And that's just the truth, okay? So let me get back off that tangent. I finally leave the second guy, almost when it was too late. It had gotten to the point where I could have lost my life. And of course, here I am. I'm going to take 6 months off to get myself together. And I meet someone else. Intuition will get the marriage. It's like, yes, they will. So, meet this guy. Oh, the second guy, he had a daughter. Third guy, he has a daughter. Everybody's got that one child. Let me think about this. Let's go back to the beginning. My mom met a man with a son. He also had a daughter, my big sister. But the son, we're going to focus on the son. So she meets my father with his son with special needs. What do? I try to nurse the daughters of the men that I'm with. I try to make sure that they're taken care of as well, because if I'm taking care of the child and the dad, I'm loved. I have a place, I'm needed, I'm necessary, okay? And so I became an emotional prostitute. In a sense, my husbands paid me to stay at home to cater to their needs. They could call me throughout the day and tell me about what was going on at work. Babe, you won't believe this happening, blah, blah, blah. What should I do? I ended up becoming chief counselor of their lives. And once they got tired of counseling, of getting counseling, and they wouldn't do anything with it, then that was the problem. Then it was, okay, I get it, I got it, it's not that bad, never mind. I'll just stop telling you about it. Okay, well, you may want to do something about it. No. So you're emotionally pimping me out, and I'm the emotional prostitute. And sometimes it would switch. Ooh, are you an emotional prostitute and don't know it? It's okay, sis, a lot of us are. It's not even a club. We don't want to be in that club, which is why we're talking about healing tonight. Are you an emotional pimp? See, that's that give and that's that receive. That's that masculine and that's that feminine. That's trying to put two things together. Pimp can't be a pimp if you don't have something to pimp. And the prostitute, it's hard for her to be a prostitute if there are no Johns. That get it together, that shit right there. Okay, so third guy, get together. And right after we get married, maybe 3 months after, that's when I realized, oh, I'm about to be pimped again. I'm such an emotional hoe. Shit. I didn't even wear no drawers. I was such an emotional hoe. It's okay. We've been there. So I realized my consciousness has raised again. Let me further explore why I keep getting into these relationships. What is it about me? It's not them. What is it about me? When I was in a domestic violence shelter, my counselor told me, she said, you don't really need therapy. You just need somebody to bounce something off of. And I said, I don't feel like I need therapy, but I could be the solution. She said, you don't need therapy. She said, you need somebody to listen to you talk it out because you're almost there. I said, well, here's the thing with that, because they're telling me I need to take it while I'm here in the shelter. But what I know for sure about myself is that if I'm allowed to dig deep, I know I have the answer. And I'm not concerned about you putting us in these meetings every night talking about these are the red flags to pay attention to if he does this or if he does that. These are the red flags that you need to pay attention to when you accept that. Everything was all about the abuser. The abuser was glorified in the domestic violence shelter. The abuser is glorified in the domestic violence shelter system because it is a system. And so I said, I want to know. I stood up in the meeting and said, I really don't care about him. He's not here. He didn't lose his home. He didn't have to leave out with the drawers on his back, okay? He didn't have to change his job to feel safe, put his children in another school. He didn't lose anything, not even me, because he's going to go out and find another woman to do it to. So can we be done with him? What is it about us as women that continue to draw this type of relationship? And the group leader told me, oh, that's what counseling is for. Okay. So what you're telling me is I am now self-aware enough to know that it's me. I don't have to worry about him. Let me fix and focus on me. So I started to do the digging. And that phone call with my mom came from the digging. And I realized as I was talking to my mother, our lives were so parallel, it was freaky. We had done a lot of things around the same age, but I had done them slightly differently. And I was blessed enough that my grandmother was still here. She recently passed, but my grandmother and my great-grandmother were still alive. And I was able to sit my great-grandmother and my grandmother down, and my mom, to ask about their history. And things were so parallel. We started having less children. We started getting pregnant later. We started our relationships later, and the education level began to go up, and we started to make better choices, but the times had also allowed for those choices to be made. So because I was able to do that, I got to the point where I could ask this question of myself first, okay? And I want you to ask yourself. Actually, I want you to comment if you've ever asked yourself this question, okay? Do I love myself? If I love myself, why do I love myself? And not only why do I love myself, but how? If you asked yourself that question from the age of 5 until 10, click yes. Go ahead and type yes. Let me know. If you haven't, type no. I would really like to know. Did you ask yourself that question from ages 5 to 10?
No.
No. Did anyone ask you, anyone that was important to you in an intimate way, mother, grandmother, father, grandfather, favorite aunt, favorite uncle? Did anyone ask you that? No, no, no. Okay. So let me show you something. I am going to write on the board. It may look backwards, but I am going to explain it. But I have to write it out for me because I'm dyslexic, and yeah. So, pull the board up. It's my muscles. All right. So this is my personal theory in regards to age on this planet. All right. So from 0 to 10, everybody is a newborn. What the heck, Nina? My 10-year-old is not a newborn. Yes, your 10-year-old is. Your 10-year-old that got a perfect attendance award, but he didn't get himself up, get dressed, fix himself a healthy breakfast, make sure his homework was packed and he was prepared for the day, and got in the car and drove those 8 miles to school, stood in line and just made sure he was taken care of all the days of the school year, because that was his #1 top priority. You have prodigies that are able to do that. Not everybody's baby is able to do that. Did you get up from age 5 to 10 every day? I am so looking forward to school. I can't miss. Everything is fabulous. Let me make sure all of my supplies are together, because I don't want to get any checks on my report card, because this is important for my future, because that's what I'm thinking about. Probably not. Probably not. That's what your parents are supposed to do. You can barely tie your shoe when you're 10, and you're not even really concerned about that. At those ages, you want to play. You are here to play and explore and express your imagination. That is your job as a child. But what happens when you're crisis baby is that you hear, that's not real. Stop talking too much. Stop asking me too many questions. Sit your little ass down. You do what I tell you. Children are to be seen and not heard. Oh, you think you've grown now? Why are you asking me a question like that? Why are you talking like that? Right? Okay, so your little individuality that you're coming into gets stomped down because if you become an individual before your parents become individuals, what the heck would happen? Poof, the world will blow up. Because oftentimes our parents are not individuals. They are still operating off of the foundation that was built for them. Yes, my grandmother tried to suppress me. Yes, that happens all the time. Children get suppressed and then they become depressed because whatever you suppress, you're not able to express. And that's what we're here to do. Remember, we're the universe expressed, right? Okay, so from 11 to 21, you're a kid. You're a kid. And the reason why I can prove that you're a kid very, very quickly, let me make sure I'm staying on point, is that you can be 17 years old at high school, and you have to raise your hand and ask for permission to get a hall pass to use the restroom. Just to go pee, okay? A caged bird, absolutely. So how do you go from having to raise your hand for a hall pass to the very next day turning 18? You can smoke cigarettes, you can go die for your country, you can get into a relationship and get married, you can smoke legal marijuana, and a plethora of other things. You can sign up for a credit card and ruin your credit. And then you go from being a teenager to being expected to take care of every part of your life. Here, go to college or get out of the house. Which is one of the reasons why we're so jacked up now, is because we're pushed out before we're actually ready. A lot of responsibility is dumped on us before we're ready. This is why when you see a 21-year-old ready to drink for the first time, what do they normally do? Drink themselves slap silly, because they don't know how to self-regulate, because their individuality has been suppressed. They didn't get to explore what's too much and what's not too much while in the safety of the nest. Sometimes we're kicked out before we're ready to fly. Sometimes we barely have developed wings before our parents are like, and now you need to go. Do you know why a lot of our parents push us out? Because their inner child is still saying, I need to grow up too, wait a minute. They're about to go out in the world and have fun, and we haven't had any fun because I had my baby at 16, I had my baby at 19, I had my baby at 23, I had my baby at 27 and thought I was ready, but I still wasn't ready. I had to get a job when I was 16 because my parents died and I had to go into foster care, and I wanted to emancipate myself and support myself. I've been grown, but your inner child did not get to grow. Your foundation did not get to grow, okay? So a lot of us were pushed out way too soon, and then some of us pushed ourselves out because of what was going on. Some of us pushed ourselves out because we thought we wanted freedom and independence from all the suppression, not realizing that we didn't know how to create a safe space for us to continue to grow, right? Okay. And imagine walking around as a 19-year-old thinking you're fully grown, and cognitively you are able to calculate the consequences of your choices. That don't smell like teen spirit to me. Okay. So, just want to make sure I'm right. Here we go. All right, so from age 22 to 29, the magical number 29. From 22 to 29, you are, guess what? You're a teenager. No, I'm not. I'm grown. I pay my own bills. I got a car note and everything and bad credit. What you talking about? I'm grown. I done had 3 boyfriends, 3 girlfriends. I've been engaged and everything. What you talking about? I'm grown. You are a teenager. This is why so many teenagers go to college or leave the house and something happens. They'll either graduate, think they're going to make that thing, and find out they have to go in at entry level, and life is not what they thought it was going to be, because whatever your parents told you, that was some shit that happened when they were in college or when they left the nest, and that was years ago. Times change rapidly. And so, as this teenager, if you screw up, this is when a lot of kids get married really quickly, and the marriage breaks up before 30, and they have to go back home. Or they find themselves in a lot of debt, and they have to go back home. Or they can't go home, and they have to stay with people. And what they do in order to feel safe, root chakra, is they say, this is my family, this is my sis, this is my brother from another mother, this is my tribe. Because we both like funny movies and eating popcorn in the middle of the night and talking about our trauma. We both like watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta because trauma-driven drama is our language. That's the language that we know, and that's what we produce. Girl, spill the tea. Throw the shade, because that's the only way I know how to get attention. It's the only way I know how to ask for something for myself. Because when I asked my parents, or when I asked the people I was living with, can I express my individuality? That's a no. So this is when a lot of people go back home, or you go through all kinds of crap, and you find yourself between 27, 28, and 29 asking yourself, what the fuck? Nobody told me it was, don't tell me nobody told me the road was gonna be easy. This ain't hard. This is worse than hard. This is horrible. I don't know how I'm going to get through life. What the hell is this? And because you're a teenager, you think that your life is going to be over. Why is it that before 30, this is when the most suicides happen? Because you've been so conditioned to think that life shouldn't be that bad for you. So from 27, 28, and 29, what happens there? The lovely Saturn return. This is when the planet Saturn, or who I call Big Daddy, says, all right, listen, for almost the last 30 years, you've been conditioned and you've been operating from everybody else's foundation. You had parents at home, and then you went to school and you had the principal, your teachers, the security guard, the lunchroom lady, the hall monitors, some other kids' parents who worked in the lunchroom, telling you what to do. You went to church, and not only did God, the pastor, the choir director, and that mean usher, tell you what to do, but even the kids told you what to do that were older than you. Even when you did ROTC, or you went to the military, whatever kind of life you had, there was always an outside authority. So when do you get to the point where you become your own inner authority? Saturn says, I got you, boo. I got you. I'm gonna look out for you, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rock your whole world and make you think and believe that your whole life is about to be destroyed. You know why I have to come at you so hard? Because that's the only way that's going to rock you out of your conditioning, that now it is time for you to be whole. Now you can get your shit together. Now once you find wholeness, you can reproduce wholeness, because in a sense, this is an age where a lot of people decide to start families. They start thinking, I need to settle down. I need to get my grown shit on. I need to make sure that, yes, time to embrace my North Node. We're almost there. We're almost there. Almost. I need to figure out, how I can start buying a home, this and that, or whatever. I'm partying too much. This is not the life for me. I'm getting a little older. I should probably not go to bed at 4 o'clock every morning when I have to be at work at 8:30. That's not working out anymore. What's that on my skin? Is that a crow's? Oh, wait a minute. I don't bounce back like I used to, but I know I'm not old. Saturn's like, yeah, because it's called growing up. You're a teenager, but now it's time to become a young adult. So from age 30, all the way to 39, you are a young adult. I'm a young adult. I'm not a teenager anymore. So I'm still young and fabulous, darling. I'm a young adult, okay? If you're at 39 and below, you're a young adult. All right. Why do they push all of this children and marriage stuff before 30? Because that was their conditioning. Because people are really short-sighted and think that life isn't going to last. Live it now. You may not make it. I'm going to get ahead of myself because I want to make sure that I address the North Node. So from 30 to 39, you're a young adult. However, there's this magical age. This magical age where a lot of people talk about, and sometimes I kind of cringe on the inside because I'm like, do you know what that means? So you hit 33. At 33, you're like, wait a minute. I'm not that close to my 20s anymore. And I'm only going to get older from here. And they also call it the Jesus year. But I think a lot of times they fail to realize Jesus had died and stuff. Like, he was tortured and beaten and lied on, cheated on, literally betrayed. He had to leave his parents, go on a whole journey, and who knows what he was doing. I don't know. It might be some Jesus baby DNA, because that was a long time that he was away. I'm just saying. So in the Jesus year, this is when a lot of people go through a very deep dark night of the soul. This is when they get to a really deep crisis in their life, because they're trying to figure out, how do I be whole and not self-righteous? How do I be whole and get back? How do I be a whole me, but now I have a family, or I have this project, or I have this job, I have something outside of myself that I am now deeply committed to, that society tells me I cannot walk away from to get myself together. That road that Jesus walked in his 33rd year, that's not something to be glorified, because even though he rose and all of that, what did he have to go through to get to that point? So if you're running around saying, I'm 33, it's the Jesus year, ooh, hunty, call me when you hit 34, okay? And then we can talk, because I'm not bearing your cross for you, all right? So 30 to 39, when you're 40, that magical number, this is called, for me, I call this the number of, oh, I really don't have to give no fuck. I don't have to care what you think about me. Because sometime around 35, I realized, my life is the sum of my choices. Holy shit. Like, my entire life, wait. So I can't blame my parents anymore? You're lying. My grandparents, somebody, Trump, nobody. I can't blame nobody for my choices. I can't blame anybody for my distractions. I can't even give anybody my accomplishments. It's all me. Really? Whew. Yeah. Now you're grown. Now you're an adult. Okay? So the North Node comes into play here. As your soul's purpose, what you're here to do, versus your South Node. A lot of times we operate off of our South Node. My South Node is an Aquarius, okay? And I'm an Aquarius rising. So that's the first thing that I present to people. I present myself as this free, happy-go-lucky, super weird chick that's willing to cross the boundaries as long as I don't get arrested. And I want to show you that my main goal is to know what the rules are, so that I know which ones to bend, which ones to fucking shatter, and which ones to keep so that I don't kill myself and somebody else. But truthfully, my North Node is in Leo. Aquarians, we're all about the crowd. We're all about making sure everybody's okay. You know, hey group, let's get together and change the world. Rebels unite. But my North Node says, you can't hide out in the crowd anymore, sweetie. Your North Node is in Leo. It is time for you to be a leader. But you can't lead anyone if you can't self-lead. You can't be a source for other people if you can't self-source. If your North Node is in Cancer and your South Node is in Capricorn, you know that it's time for you to nurture yourself rather than push yourself and be hard on yourself. That's just one of the descriptions in regards to that. And so as you discover your purpose, then you get to a point of frustration because it's really hard to fulfill that purpose, because your foundation is totally fucked. All right, so let me check my notes. Does anybody have any questions? Let me know. Let me see it in the chat. I wish I had some music I could play. Let the music play. Oh wait, would I have to pay for it if I sing it? I don't know, YouTube. Let me be careful. You can't even sing Happy Birthday without paying for it. Okay. So Saturn, I want to go back to Saturn, where Saturn tells you, I want to show you what freedom looks like now that you have been so restricted, so suppressed, so depressed. I need you to realize that you can be self-sourced, but you're gonna have to work at it. If you don't work at it, ooh-wee, you're gonna have another Saturn return in your 50s. You're not gonna like your whole life being shaken up in your late 50s. That's not gonna feel good because you're really gonna be grown and doing your thing. So let's get the lesson now. Building a strong foundation means that you can get the lessons now if you're willing to do the work, because Saturn also rewards your hard work. Saturn is the big daddy. He's the father that says, all right, I need you to clean your room after school. No back talk. Clean your room after school. And you go in your room and you dance in the mirror, singing in the shower, doing all your thing. And you realize, oh, my dad's gonna come in here in a little bit to check my room. So you shove some stuff under the bed, toss some stuff in your dresser drawers, push some stuff in the closet. He comes in, you're sitting on the bed. Hey, Dad. Hey, I see you cleaned your room. Yeah. Lying. All right. What does your dad do? He goes and he looks under the bed, opens the drawers, checks the closet. Why? Because he was a kid before. And you came from him. Because remember, you're getting your shit together, so you're part of him. He knows these tricks. And then he tells you, I asked you to do something and you didn't do it. And then you lied to me and told you you did it. And when I checked, all of your stuff came out of the closet. You're not gonna go to Disney World. And you're like, wait, what? Disney World? We weren't going to Disney World. And your best friend pops in the room and goes, we won tickets on Radio Disney to go to Disney World. You've been wanting to go forever. And your father says, well, she's gonna keep on wanting to go forever because she didn't do what I asked her to do. And then it hits you, it smacks you in the face that all you had to do was clean your room. He didn't say clean your room, my room, the kitchen, the bathroom, your neighbor's house, and go to the church and clean that too. He said clean your room, clean your life, work on yourself. But no, when you shoved all that stuff in, you got on the phone to talk to your friend about her problems with her boyfriend because you got the answers, boo. Or you talk to your friends about your boo thing, or being bullied, or the teacher that you don't like, using everything to distract yourself from what you were supposed to do so that you can get the reward. Why? Because of your foundation. Okay? So I'm going to scroll down a bit. All right. So I want to give you my definition of a crisis. Okay? So a crisis, this is my definition, is a turning point of a mindset. Okay? It's a turning point of a mindset when an important change takes place, indicating either recovery or death. Now, death doesn't have to be physical, but a crisis is this pinnacle. It's a meeting point. It's a coming together at a crossroads to make a decision. When you're making a decision, you're choosing between two or more things, but usually two major things, okay? Yes or no, should I or shouldn't I? Can I have, can I not have? Will I or won't I? All right? Should I stay or should I go? You're in crisis mode. And at the pinnacle of that crisis mode, you are going to have to decide. And we often decide based on our foundation. Am I going to change this and recover, renew, rebirth, regrow, regenerate, represent myself, and reproduce something new? Or am I going to fall back and let the same thing happen again and allow whatever possibility that was there for growth to die? That's a really, really important point. And so when we come together with people, places, and things, with situations, when we're in crisis mode, we always fall back to our foundation. Always. Without fail. Do you know why? because our foundation teaches us to react. Whenever something happened when you were small, more than likely you were taught to react than to respond. To respond means to be able to to respond appropriately, to have the ability to respond appropriately. That's why it's called response ability. But when your parents don't operate that way, they don't respond, they react, now they're doing this at my job, now they're doing that, now I'm gonna have to get another job, now they're raising the mortgage rates, and I'm gonna have to do this, and now you don't get a lot of response from your parents, so you don't know how to respond appropriately, which means if you can't respond appropriately, you are not responsible, or as my kids used to say, responsible. And if you're not being responsible for your choices and actions, that means that you are blaming someone else. So, let's define who we are by our base, by our foundation, okay? So I'll tell you how I defined myself by my foundation up until recently. I'm super shy. I don't really have a nice voice for speaking, which is stupid because I used to do voiceovers and sing and all that good stuff. Silly. I'm short, so I can't really, I cut all of my hair off, so I can't. Okay, well, I grew my hair back and everybody's bald, so I can't. I have crooked teeth, so I can't. I didn't finish college, so I can't. I've been married 3 times. Y'all, I got Jupiter in the 7th house. I was gonna get married multiple times. So nobody's gonna listen to me. I don't have a girl, so no one's gonna listen to advice that I may have about raising a little girl, even though I've been a little girl. I can't. I don't know how. Something's not right. I don't have enough money. Or even when I got my credit together, it's only a 720. Now I want to be in the 800 club. Nothing was enough because I was still trying to extract things to make me whole. Until I realized that my parents' crisis was no longer my crisis. I talked to my mom about worth. I said, Mom, think about it. That unworthiness was surface because you gave me a name that was so heavy that when you told me what it meant when I was about 7 years old, I cried because I could feel the weight of it. You named me Shekinah? In other words, you named me Malkuth? That's the base, that's the root, that's the bottom, that's the kingdom of the tree of life. Why would you do something like that? When you said you felt unworthy? Because truly, deeply on the inside, in my mother's heart of hearts, she wanted for me what she did not believe she could have for herself. And sometimes we remind our parents, especially abusive parents, of the possibility of them that they think is now an impossibility. You can forgive your parents. A lot of this seems like it was done on purpose. When you have a fucked up foundation, where do you pull balance from? Balance is not available to you when your foundation comes at the pinnacle of a crisis mode. It's not there. It's like going to the bank and asking for $50 million, but that bank only stocks $80,000. And you also don't have $50 million in your bank account. All right? So a lot of us, in order to bring ourselves into wholeness, we go to retreat after retreat after retreat. Y'all know what the name retreat means? It doesn't mean I'm going to find the one definitive answer that's going to change my whole life. That's not the purpose of a retreat. We walk around with these crooked foundations and we send out these very strong vibrations that say, I don't know who I am, I don't know what I am, I don't know how I serve. Oh, and you don't either? Yes, let's stick together, because familiarity can be an addiction. When you're stuck being addicted to familiarity, oh, I know that, I don't want to try that, that's new. That's going to make me rise out of my old self and actually be accountable and responsible for myself. Oh, hell no. No, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm still, oh no, that's too much. It's too much. So we stay, what is it? The don't go chasing waterfalls. Sheesh, just stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to. Like, that waterfall might lead you to the ocean that you've been dreaming of, to the freedom that you've been dreaming of. But no, let's just stick to the familiar. And when you stick to the familiar, you don't grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying. Okay? So, in talking to my mother and bringing our relationship back to earth, back to mommy, are you worthy of your being? Nina, Shekinah, are you worthy of your being? Are you worthy of your being? What's my being? A state of being just is. It is not based off of emotions. Emotions oscillate up and down. You and your best friend can be hanging out, and your best friend could be a little distracted by doing something, and you're having a conversation with someone, and they mishear you say that they stole something from you. All of a sudden, your best friend goes, "What are you talking about? And I would never do that to you. And why would you even say something like that about me?" And blah, 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 blah. Immediately, that best friend is taken back into your whole relationship. And they start recalling all the things that they did for you and all the times that you all got together and did this or did that. And how could you say this? And you realize, whoa, wait. I wasn't talking about you. I was giving an example about something else. And almost immediately, your best friend simmers down and says, "Oh, girl, I knew you weren't talking about me because we're besties. We done been through too much. Ooh, girl, you almost had me fucked up. Oh, my God. Okay, girl, you want to go get some ice cream?" Those are emotions. That shit oscillated so fast, you were literally on an emotional roller coaster. But had she been confident in her friendship, because she was confident in herself, because she knew who she was, what she was, and how she served, she would have misheard that and said, no, she's not talking about me. Guess what? End of story. You don't even have to go through all of that trauma-driven drama because you know who you are. Your foundation is strong. You can walk into any room and be your true, authentic self. But there is no way you can take classes to be your authentic self. There's no way you can do retreats and be your authentic self if you are not ready to sit down and discover what your foundation is and how you want to rebuild that, how you want to set that for yourself. Okay. So let's talk about active healing, all right? Because I want to leave some time for questions if you have them. To seek active healing in regards to your foundation, you are going to have to sit down all by your lonesome and go all the way back to your earliest memory. You may have to ask some family members. Ask the ones who don't create as much fuck shit as the other ones, okay? Ask a neighbor who may have lived next door to you all and has never moved and saw some things that you may not have seen. Oftentimes, we're not able to start pouring our own foundation because we're still angry at our parents' decisions. Well, my mama said she wanted to abort me. My mother told me I was a child of rape. My mother said I was a child of incest. My mama said that she didn't want me. Okay, let's think about it. Your mother said that she didn't want you, but you're a child of incest, and she was also 13 when she was pregnant with you. Your mother had the mind of a 13-year-old, and you still want to hold her to that, even though at some point in time she got her shit together in a sense, and at minimum, at least made sure that you had some food to eat and some clothes. I'm still blaming my father. This was my story. I'm still blaming my father for being emotionally unavailable. Well, again, one of 19 kids. He didn't sit in his mommy's lap for a long time. How was he going to give me the things and nurture me the way I wanted to be nurtured if he hadn't experienced that? There's one thing to be around something. There's another thing to really experience it. You can be around people who have sex until you have sex. It's going to be different. So I had to forgive my father for not giving me something that he couldn't give. And the reason why that's tough for people to do is because once you release that load, you're free. And most people don't want to be free. They're afraid of what that looks like. What's on the other side of suffering? I won't have a story to tell. I can't, keep my boyfriend up all night till 3 o'clock in the morning talking about how bad my parents were. Or keep the clerk at the store, yes, your mom was horrible too, so was mine. That's how your life was? So was mine. Yeah, we used to have to walk 8 miles to school and shit. When are you going to release yourself? Nobody's going to release you. Let me tell you really quickly how I forgave the person who molested me. My family, I think they thought it was hard for me to forgive that person. It was actually harder for me to forgive the adults because they allowed it to happen for multiple years. And I had to realize that it was normal because crisis mode had become normal for them. It had become white noise. It was just, can we just survive day to day? Can we just survive? I don't want to deal with anything that wasn't dealt with when I was younger. I was molested when I was younger, so now here it is. You're saying you're molested. Nothing was done and taken care of in regards to me. So how can I do that for you? Or the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm going to go so hard at making sure this person gets prosecuted that I'm actually going to disrespect you in the process and kind of put you in the background in the process and not address how you're feeling. When your chakras are off, some people say too open, too closed, whatever, however you want to say it. When you're operating at either end of the spectrum and you're not in the middle, then it creates crisis because now you have two things you have to choose from. On and you're off, you're hot and you're cold, you're yes and you know. A lot of people say, oh, they're bipolar. We're all bipolar when we're not operating out of wholeness. Just for some people, it's more pronounced and it's a much longer stage of growth. Okay? So, in order for me to forgive the person who molested me, I had to sit down and realize, number one, this person was abused as well. And this person had no outlet. This person was young, and there was no therapy back then for what was happening. No healthy outlet. You were expected to continue to go on with your life. Hurt people, and we all have hurt someone. For me to sit down and realize I had hurt people, even if it was just me walking away, I had to be responsible for that and accept and acknowledge responsible for that and forgive myself. And so at the end of the day, it's really not even about forgiving the other people. I realized as I sat there thinking about this young man, I had to forgive myself for thinking that I brought it on myself. I was a little girl. I had to forgive myself for hating him and hating my parents and hating everybody else and acting out in ways, trying to get them to listen to me because I didn't understand that they couldn't. They were trying to pay the rent. They weren't trying to have a heart-to-heart. What is that? We don't have time for that. The landlord's coming in the morning. The insurance guy is coming. And then I have to go get my tags renewed. What are you talking about? Just tell them don't do that no more. So I had to forgive myself, and that was deep forgiveness, because when you hold on to anything that is created out of crisis mode, which is a lot of guilt and a lot of shame and a lot of dishonoring of who we are, you can't truly forgive anybody else without forgiving yourself, because that's getting your shit together. Remember, we're coming back into wholeness. So when I was able to forgive myself, I was able to forgive him. And then I was able to forgive the adults in my life who really weren't adults, because they suffered from arrested development. Whatever age they were deeply hurt and didn't really recover from in that crisis mode, they withdrew from making a decision. That's where they are. And a lot of us have parents that operate at a 4-year-old emotional level, 13-year-old emotional level, an 8-year-old emotional. There are parents that will have a tantrum when you try to confront them with the truth. There are parents who are at a perpetual age of 15. You have to respect that that's where they are and figure out where you are. I was a hurt 6-year-old. I have a picture in my home, I meant to bring it, where I just recently started talking to, and I asked that little girl, I said, did you know you could love yourself? No one told you that? I'm going to tell you, the little girl that still lives in me, the little wounded girl, I love you, and you are safe with me. I love you, and you are safe with me. I love me, and I am safe with me. That little girl needed to feel safe so that she could grow with me. I was a hurt 8-year-old. I was 9. And so we act those ages out when we're pissed. When you see a couple fighting on the street, all of us have seen a couple fighting on the street. It looks so out of pocket. It's like, what are they doing? That's that 8 and 9-year-old going, you're gonna hear me. I want you to love me. And the other person's going, but I want you to love me. And then they start doing this, you love, no, love me, love. When truthfully it's, oh, wait, if I love me and you love you, then we can love us together and we don't have to drain each other. But again, when you don't have that foundation. So, the healing process begins with sitting down and figuring out what the foundation was and truly acknowledging it. And this won't be something that's linear. This is going to happen over shifts of time and growth spurts. You don't see a plant say, oh, I'm a seed today, but tomorrow I'll be in full bloom. There are stages to this. Think of it as a garden, okay? If there were seeds that were planted that didn't produce a really good crop, you literally need to go in and burn that whole motherfucking field and create a pH balanced, fertile ground so that you can plant new seeds. It is time to cultivate new seeds for yourself to plant. Okay? Ooh, I don't be patient enough. Where does that come from? Because that to me, when I hear that I'm not patient enough, I can hear someone's parents say that. Or I can hear someone's parents not only just say, I'm not patient enough, but so-and-so's not patient enough for that. Oh, they just rush through things. And we have all of these little voices in our head that tell us who we are. And we carry that with us and we think that that's our voice. But now that you know, you are responsible for your own energy. The root chakra is the gateway. We can't get to the crown. We have to start at the root because we're here, we're physically dense. We matter, literally. One of the most amazing questions you can ask a person is, what's the matter? Because that can create a pause. Yeah, does it really matter that this person said your mom is bald-headed? My mom has a head full of hair. Or hell, she is bald-headed. Oh, it's supposed to matter to me because what matters to them right now is that they're hurt. And they want me to be hurt too. But I don't care to be hurt too. So it doesn't matter. The gateway is so important because only you are in charge of that. Before we can get to the sacral, before we can get to the solar plexus, before we can get to the heart, before we can get you to speak the abundance of your heart, what are you letting in your gateway? How strong is your foundation? Okay? That is a question that I want you to ask yourself. I want you to ask yourself what kind of foundation you're ready to build. And it's going to take some time. And that's perfectly fine because things go in cycles. What you don't want to do is miss the opportunity of a new cycle. Screw around and it doesn't come up again. So the things that you are being made aware of now during the solstice, you don't want to have to deal with next year. We are talking about getting our spiritual body summer solstice ready. The sun is at the pinnacle in the sky. It made a decision. Hey, I was over there. I was kind of a little low. I was feeling a little low. I had to, hang out with the people in the southern hemisphere. But bitch, I'm back. All right? And let me shine this light on all the nitty-gritty things that need to be cleaned up and taken care of. Let's clean out those spiritual cobwebs so that you can have a fantastic summer. You can have a fantastic summer. And this is going to also set the skeleton, set the structure for next year. Oh, look at that. Okay. So I want to close out with something that I feel is very important. And I wish I had more time, but I don't. So I want to make sure that I get you all out on time, keep my wood. So I want you all to understand that you get to reproduce your true intentions. Are your true intentions from the foundation that was laid before you, or are you ready to move into your individuality and your unique way of expressing the very same purpose that we all have, but in the way that you do it best? You are now free to do that. And it starts at the base, at defining your base. If you don't understand the purpose of your life, you will abuse it. The abuse ends now. You no longer have to self-abuse, because now you know that you are ready to actively begin to build your own foundation. I'm just laughing at the comments. Okay. So when you start reproducing something new, something completely different, you're reproducing the essence of who you are, all right? The essence of who you are, the universe, the body, you embody the universe. You are going to actually begin to get your whole body summer ready, because your root is going to say, they can't come up in here. No, we vetted it. It's not healthy. It's not clean. It's not conducive. And it is going to change our structure, and not for the better. You got to cut it off at the gate, okay? It is time for you to learn how to get rooted and grounded in yourself. And as we go on through this series, it's all going to come together, okay? So I want you to, again, go back into your heart space, and I want you to get really focused on the words that you are going to repeat, okay? All right. I don't want you to think about the bills right now. I don't want you to think about the baby crying in the background. The baby will be all right, okay? I want you to repeat after me. I am here now. I am in my body. I occupy my body. I am safe in my body. I know who I am, the universe embodied. I know what I am, the universe expressed. And I know how I serve, through love, for love, by love, with love, making love in my own unique, purposed way. I am a mouthful of self-fulfilling prophecies. I am a mouthful of self-fulfilling prophecies. I am confident at creating what I speak, because I am safe with myself. I trust me, and I love me. Okay? If you all have any questions, I'm going to hop over into the Get You Some Free closed group. If you are not a part of that, I will try to figure out some way to post that link, or if somebody can post that link, that would be fantastic. Or you can hit me up on my regular Facebook page under Shekinah Nina Davis, SHAKEINAH. I'm going to go in the group in about 2 minutes, so if you have any questions or you want to further discuss, we can do it there. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, from my rooter to the tutor, from my root chakra all the way to my crown, for being with me.